everyone, welcome back. So it's November, which means we are going to be moving forward with doing the Hawks MC series for review. This is going to be in countdown to the release of the first book of the Next Generation series, which is titled Coyote. That comes out December 1st. And it's also going to be the first book that I do as a reading vlog on this channel. So the entire series is done by one of my all-time favorite authors, Lila Rose, who hails from the wonderful country of Australia. So that being said, let's move on with it. The first book is Holding Out. Now I am going to point out this is the original cover art. The author has recently had the cover art redone. So it's kind of in the beginning transition phase. If you order it or you go to the store to purchase it, you may get the original cover art, you may get the new cover art, but do not be swayed by the difference of the cover because it's the same story. It's just different packaging. So trigger warnings for this story include sexually explicit scenes, gratuitous profanity, domestic abuse, rape, abduction, and references to child abuse. If any of those are issues or subjects that are triggering for you, then maybe stay away from the story. However, I will say I think it's handled pretty well. Unlike Immortal Hexes, where it was very in your face, where they full on described some of the scenes of torture that had occurred in that story, this one it's more tactfully handled. You see some of the aftermath. You don't necessarily have it done in scene, if that makes sense. Like, the very beginning of the story is Zara escaping her ex-husband, or not ex-husband, her husband. And when her friend comes to pick her up, it's very clear that her husband has just beaten and raped her. And it references like blood running down her inner thigh. But it didn't actually depict the actual act itself. So there's references and inferences to it, but it's not actually actively written in the story. It's always in a roundabout kind of a way. So I think it's handled pretty respectfully. So if it's not something that's too triggering for you, then definitely I would say go ahead, because it is a good story. So, after she has escaped, she has gone with her friend Diana to a small town called Ballarat. And 2 years before this story actually takes place, she has moved into a house with her daughter because she found out after she left her husband that she was pregnant. And the house that she and her daughter move into is directly across the street from the local biker compound. And the first time she meets the leading male for the story is when she has gone next door to demand that they turn down the music because it's a Monday night. Her daughter's supposed to be at school the next day and there's a huge party going on. And Talon is very amused when Zara comes to demand that they turn the music off. He, for the last 2 years, has kind of been waiting for Zara to come to him, so to speak. He's been very interested in her. He's made his interest known, but he's been trying to take things slowly at her pace. And 6 months ago, he's kind of come to the conclusion that she's not going to come to me, so I'm going to have to go to her. So he's been popping up more and more often, asking her to go out for coffee, asking her to go out to dinner, things like that. And she doesn't really believe that he's serious. The impression I got is that she thought he was just kind of toying with her, kind of teasing her, because he just likes to get a rise out of her, which he definitely does, don't get me wrong. He likes to kind of make her go a little crazy. But it's because he thinks it's cute, he thinks it's adorable. So we start off in a story where Zara is on her way home from work. Her daughter is at school. She's going to be at school overnight for a sleepover. She's planning to have her friend over. They're going to drink, have fun, and just kind of let loose. Talon has found out what's going on and basically invited himself over. And Diana is there kind of egging him on because Diana is tired of Zara always being scared and doing nothing but going to work and being a mom. She's like, you need to start living your life, basically. And so she's very much in favor of Talon coming and shaking things up in Zara's world. Well, at this time is when Zara's brother comes, and that's a big deal because she told her family, you can't come find me because it's not safe. Because if David finds me, there's going to be huge problems, right? And Maddie, her brother, has come basically because their parents are dead and he thinks there was foul play. And of course, this freaks Zara out. She thinks her husband is coming to get her. And Talon and his men are basically set. They're going to protect her. And she is determined that that's not going to be the case. She's determined she's going to pack up her daughter. She's going to take her brother and they're going to leave. But Talon isn't having it. Diana isn't having it. And in fact, there is a bit of a verbal altercation between Diana and Zara. And at the point when Talon is trying to step in and calm things down, he's trying to get Zara to tell him what's going on because he knows something's wrong, but he doesn't know what it is. And he starts basically trying to pressure Zara, you need to tell me what's going on. And, Zara has just found out that her parents have passed and that, and she's dealing with that. She's trying to deal with the fear of her husband and all of these things. And so Diana kind of sticks up for her and says, come on, she's had a lot of shocks. She's trying to deal with it. There's only so much you can take at one time. At which point Zara says, I love you, Diana. She smiled. Yeah, I'm all roses, chocolates, and vibrators about you too. Fucking hell, it's like talking to two deranged children. Talon glared at the both of us, causing laughter from the group near the front door. So there's definitely some very good humor in there and a lot of really good description going on in the story. I have to say, one of the reasons I love Lila Rose so much is because I love her sense of humor in these stories, because it pops up when there's a lot of tension. It pops up through the whole story anyways, but it really is very handy when it's a very tense scene because it's used to kind of relax it a little bit. So you as the reader, you're like, okay. And some of the shit that is said in the book are just hilarious. So in the span of just the first few chapters, you have the fact that, Zara's brother has come. The next day, a bunch of her coworkers come to check on her because she didn't go to work, and she works for a PI firm, or personal investigation firm. And when they get there, you realize that one of the PIs, Violet, is actually Talon's sister. And they really don't have a relationship because she's a private investigator and her brother is the head of a motorcycle club. And as far as she's concerned, he's a criminal. And then after they've arrived, Maddie's boyfriend shows up. Maddie was trying to protect his boyfriend, Julian, so he didn't tell him that he was coming to get his sister. And there was also a little bit of worry in his mind about what Zara would think about the fact that he's gay. And Julian is one of the big deliverers of comedy in this series. There's a lot of the characters that are in this book are going to pop up in future books. So there's a lot of character development for them as well, and how they interact with each other, which is really great because you feel for more people in the story. You don't just feel for the main characters, you feel for everybody, which is really kind of nice. And it creates a really nice world for the story to take place. Let's see. There's a little bit of a love triangle. One of the other guys in the club has developed a crush on Zara and makes it known to her because he's trying to make a play for her. At the same time, Talon is trying to make a play for her, which is a big no-no in the MC world. You don't go after a woman that your club brother has basically claimed, so to speak. There's really great interaction between Zara and Talon's son Cody, and between Talon and Zara's daughter Maya. And then you also find out that Talon's ex, Cody's mom, for whatever reason, really just likes to mess with Talon. Like, they're not together in any way anymore. She's married to some rich dude. But she just likes to use Cody to, like, just to kind of hold over Talon's head, so to speak. And just likes to just be a total bitch to him for no apparent reason that I can tell. Just because, I guess. And then, let's see. There's some groundwork being laid for the next book between Diana and one of the other club brothers, whose club name is Grizz, as in Grizzly. And then, of course, as I think you would be able to tell pretty quickly from the beginning of the story, Zara does get abducted by men working for her husband. She got betrayed by a couple guys from the club, and I'm not going to name the names. And they sold her out to her husband, who had her parents abducted and made it look like they died in a car crash. So she's reunited with her parents and also with her asshole husband. And then while she is there is a 16-year-old girl who is living in this place with David and his men. And it is very clear what she is there for. And it is very sad. Because things like that do happen in real life. So I'm not going to give away too much about the book itself, because I do want you to go read it. It's very well done. I do want to say character development is very much there. You do get scenes from, it's primarily from Zara's point of view. You do get a scene from the point of view of one of the two guys that had betrayed Zara. So there is character development for him as well. You find out that his mother had been very abusive. When he was a child, she sold him for other people to use. And he's struggling with the fact that he had done this. He's like, why did I do this for a woman who did nothing for me and hurt me so much as a child? So there's character development for him. And then there's a few scenes that are from Talon's perspective after Zara has been abducted. And when you get multi viewpoints in a story, it really does make it considerably easier to put in the character development, because you don't have to do it in conversation. It can actually just be the thoughts of the character. And it can be considerably more intimate that way, which I really enjoy. Zara is a funny person. Like, all of the characters are funny in their own way. Zara, I get, is the type of person I guess you would classify as quirky. When she went to demand that they turn off the music at the party, she went dressed in a kitten nightgown with black combat boots. So she's kind of comfortable in her own skin, but she doesn't see her own beauty, which is probably part of the allure, because the guys like her because she's not super prissy, and she's not vain. She's just a real person with a good heart, you know? Diana is nicknamed Hellmouth because of the amount that she curses in the story. For lack of a better term, I guess you could say it's all just illusion to cover up for the fact that she is a good person with a good heart. The reason she gets so angry with Zara when Zara starts talking about leaving is because she's tired of seeing her best friend scared all the time. She went out of her way to help Zara get away from her husband and do everything she could to help her. So she's a good person, but because she's been through her own trauma in the past, she is very much pretty gruff around the edges, so to speak. Maddie and Julian, again, they're hilarious. Maddie is the younger of the two, I believe, but he is very much the alpha in the relationship, so to speak. And Julian is one of the most hilarious characters you come across, and he takes great pleasure in making the big bad biker men uncomfortable by flirting with them all the time, which is, again, there's a lot of really great comedy in the story, which is good because it really balances out the heavy parts of the story. And I don't know if it's just because of different phrases between Australians versus Americans, but there's a lot of really interesting phrases in there that I'd never really heard before. So overall, it's a really good story. I think you very much enjoy it. Whenever anybody I know asks me about, MC romances, it's one of the first that I will ever recommend to anybody, because some MC romances are very, very, very dark. Some of them are very serious, and those are good too. I mean, I very much enjoy the MC romance genre. I have quite a few that I've read, so there'll probably be more coming up in reviews in the future. But this is always one of the ones that I will recommend first, because it's a really good balance. It is not an outlaw motorcycle club anymore. It is a clean club, so to speak. And while there are references of, human trafficking in future books and things, it's not the Club Brothers doing it. In some MC romances, it's a criminal club doing really horrible things, but you're rooting for them because you enjoy the characters. This one, it's a clean club. They're gruff guys, but they're trying to do the right thing. Lots of really great comedy, lots of really great character development. And you get to a point after a couple books where you kind of feel like you're part of a family with the group, which you don't get in every book or every series, so to speak. I really enjoy the world that Lila Rose has created for her characters. I'm kind of gushing here because she is one of my favorite authors, as I've said. She has really great pacing. She has really great character development, really great comedy. I very much thoroughly enjoyed the book. I highly recommend it. As I already said, it's one of the few, it's one of the first ones that I will recommend to anybody who's curious about MC romances. And I definitely would give this one a 4.5 stars out of 5. So it's really high up there for me. I will be doing the next review in a couple of days, and I hope you enjoyed this one. I know I probably come off as a bit of a fangirl just gushing on this one, but it's one of my all-time favorite series by one of my all-time favorite authors, so it's gonna It's definitely going to be kind of gushy. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be fangirling throughout the series a lot. So take that for what it's worth. I look forward to seeing y'all at the next review. You have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.